tell you what, those actuators are forceful. Wink wink. We are working on replacing these. These are the headlight actuators. Woody woody woot. Okay, so now I could remove these assemblies and restore them completely, but you know what? I've discovered that they won't fit through these holes, and if they do, then it's a real hell of a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna do this the fun way, and I'm gonna lie down under the car and do it like that. So the first thing I want to do right now is remove these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two springs, then I'm going to remove the cotter pin and this bolt and get that out of there, and then I'm going to remove these 4 nuts and take this actuator out. That way I can mount the new actuator under here. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so as you can see, I've got this. I'm glad that didn't fall on my face. We've got the springs loose, and I'm just going to leave that one hanging there. The other one fell out, but that's okay. I'll clean it up. I really wanted to take this all out and get this blue paint and stuff off of here, but you know, I really need my headlights to work so I can drive my car, so I'm just going to leave them where they are for now. But as you see, once you get that out, or the cotter pin and the springs off, then you can pull this pin out of here. Be careful not to break these plastic guides. I'm going to just drop that by my face and take this one out carefully. So I'm gonna have to use 2 hands on this because I need to push this up out of the way to slide that out of there. But okay, so now that's free. So you can see that this is free. Next, I'm going to remove these 4 nuts. All right, so those 4 nuts are off, and now hopefully this will come out without having to take the hood off. So that is what is supposed to come out. I need to get the hose off of it and start wiggling that around and see if I can't remove it. Okay, now this was tricky, but not a big deal. So in order to get this loose and into this spot, I loosened it up. I used a screwdriver between this bracket and the edge of that, on this one, of course, over here, to kind of wiggle it up out of here, because it's a little firm, you know, sort of rusty and whatnot. And it should be known that there are 2 hoses, one on either side of this. So I had to lower the hood down so that I could have space enough right here to pull this vacuum actuator back up into that space and set it there, where I believe now I should have enough room to get it up out of here without much problem. So let's see if it'll come out of there one-handed. All right, I'm going to do this with 2 hands because I don't want to scratch my paint. All right, so what I found was if you rotate this around this direction and then gently move it to the center, then you can lift it up out of there. So that's one. That looks probably, I would guess that's original. I don't know. I think it's still good. I'm not sure. These can be restored, so I won't throw it away. I'll keep it. And I don't know what else I need from this thing. Looks like maybe the center of that is worn out. That's definitely shot. So I will put that in my growing collection of parts. So now we've got one of these off of there. Cool thing about these headlights though is that this will stay locked in place and can still be moved up and down pretty easily without an actuator. But next, I'm going to move to the driver's side, remove that actuator, and then should be able to start putting the new system in. So very simple so far. Just, what, 4 bolts, 2 springs, a cotter pin. Pretty simple. So, yeah, pretty easy, really, so far anyway. So I just discovered something. See this tube on the back of this second actuator? See how there's rust in that? Well, I just discovered that that hose wasn't even attached. So that's why my headlights weren't working and my vacuum was so low. It may have been attached, but at one point. But if we look at the tube, the vacuum tube that goes on there, that's the one. So you see how it's got rust in there. Obviously, it's not been all the way on, and it's been leaking. So these actuators may actually be good, but I don't care because I'm already going to replace them anyways. But thought that might be important for you to know. This, on this 76, this bar that goes across the front is actually the vacuum reservoir. So I'm just leaving everything else in here the way it is. I'm not going to do much of anything. Also, I wanted to point out, I did add a third fan. This summer when I was having heating issues, I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to put a push fan on this side. And then I have these 2 pull fans on the back side. I'll tell you what, this sucker stays right at 180, 190. She runs perfect as far as cooling goes. Okay, so now those are out. Next step is to bring the actuators out here and start hooking everything up. So let's do that. Okay, so I have one of these installed. Nice and firm. Got it all mounted up in there. That looks good so far. The only problem I've run into with these is that those 2 bolts are just slightly narrower than these 2 holes. So I'm having to use a file and file these holes out slightly. So as you can see here, maybe there. It's just slightly the wrong size. So, and I may have a problem here because looks like this fan might actually be in the way of that thing. So, all right. So what we have here are, this is the original linkage that goes to the lever part of the headlight, and then it was attached to a rod that went up into the actuator, right? So I removed it and I polished it up with some wire, like a wire brush on my drill, and it's really nice and clean. And what you have to do is you take those off of the actuators that you remove, the vacuum ones, and then you just screw it onto this rod. And this end of the rod is this rod end, and the rod and the rod end are all brand new. Those come with the kit. This little bit right here does not come with the kit. These are the parts. This section is actually the part where this goes over. So I should put this way, like that, so it would look this way. And that plastic thing, I don't want to push it in there because it's hard to get it out. But that piece of plastic is, it's just kind of like a bushing between the 2 pieces of metal so they don't wear each other out. And it's probably Teflon or nylon or something like that. This is the original one. So this one's original, but one of the sides did not have one of those on there. And let me see if I can get this off with one hand. Yeah, there we go. So you see how it's just a tube, kind of a sleeve? Well, at first I was thinking, I'm just going to measure this, 3D print one, and that way or 2, and you know, have one for each side and be able to print more if I need them. But then I had a realization. I also restore pinball machines, as you may or may not know. Those are some of the games I've restored. And one of the things that you need in a pinball machine is a sleeve like this. It's made out of nylon or Teflon, I'm not sure, one or the other. And it is, this end is the end where the plunger is, right? So the part that you pull back and let go for the ball to shoot. So that's what this is for. It's a sleeve that does basically the same thing that this little sleeve does. It just protects metal on metal friction from, you know, wearing the parts out. So it wears the plastic out. Actually, the plastic is designed to be very slick type of plastic. So it's sort of self-lubricating in a way, you know. So what I thought was, gosh, I wonder, because I know I have a lot of these sleeves in my parts over there. Lovely, isn't it? That's this is my workshop. There's my kitchen over there. And over here is, you know, games that I'm working on, and oh, over there is my kind of like my collection of Stormtrooper figures, and my sweet puppy is in there now. I don't want to look at that now. I'll just start crying. Anyway, so I thought, well, heck, let's see. Maybe I'll get lucky and one of these will actually fit. Check this out. It fits perfectly over that with, whoops, it fits perfectly over that with almost no play. Very little play. Now, granted, this has less play. This fits really well. Yeah, that fits really well over that. But, I mean, there's barely any play with this. But look at this. It also fits right in there. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm tempted to leave that on there, but I can still use this on a pinball machine by just taking off, oops, this much of it, right? So, I'm just going to somehow, or figure out how to cut that off without damaging it. And then I'm going to use that as the bushing for the one that was missing. Also, by the way, this was all nasty and painted with overspray and stuff. And I also used a wire brush attachment on my drill to clean it up. And I would like to clean these up too. I kind of would like to clean up inside here. They're not bad. This is kind of brittle at this point. So I'm actually kind of thinking that I might scan it with my flatbed scanner and 3D model it, measure it, and make a 3D model of that so that I could 3D print replacement parts for that. All right, so that was easy. I used a, whoops, I got a little, oh, that was my nail. I used a piece of sandpaper to clean up the edge where I cut it, and I guess I did such a good job. Oh, it's this side, I guess. I was going to say, I thought I did such a good job, I can't even tell which end I cut. So there that is. It's not exactly the same. It's not quite as thick as this one. However, let's see if it'll work. Try to do this with one hand. One-handed auto repair with Anna. Alright, so put that through there. And it's a little loose. Let's see. Yeah, that's... I don't believe that this is supposed to be such a perfect fit that you can't wiggle it around like that. Again, I don't really want to stick this in there because it is very tight. So I guess really, ideally you want it to be the dimensions of this piece here, you know, perfect tight fit. But I tell you what, until I can order these or 3D print my own, I'm just going to use this. It's perfect. This stuff is tough. Hacking this with a hacksaw or cutting it with a hacksaw was, yeah, it wasn't like really easy. It was not hard. Obviously, it's just plastic, but it wasn't very hard to do. But it wasn't really easy to do either. So I think this is good. So now it's on to heading back outside to reassemble the actuators and all that fun, good stuff. So, okay, so I have the motors all set up. The actuators are all hooked up. Everything's nice and clean right there, at least. I have probably put another zip tie right here, but those motors are all hooked up. These wires I'm running through. There's a hole where all these vacuum hoses go, and the connector for this fits through there, this one. So I have it right here currently, and I'm looking now to figure out where that needs to go. But what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to hook these wires up. I got to run this through this cap if I can, and I need to finish this connection. I'm probably going to double check this ground because I think I'm going to need to redo that ground because it's not looking too great right there. So while I'm in here, I'm just going to fix that too. But I need to combine the ground that's on here as well. So you see this ground wire. So that needs to connect there. So I'll keep these separate. I'm not going to combine those wires into that one connector. But that is if this actually fits that bolt. It may not. But that is what they say in the instructions, is to connect these two wires directly to the alternator. Well, I don't know if I like that idea too much, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to roll with that. This does have inline fuses, which is really nice. So there's one inline fuse for each motor. So that's basically just motor power, I guess. But I really don't know. I'm not sure how this controller works. So I'm going to connect the brown wire. So this is the signal wire that tells the actuators to go up or down, and that actually needs to be routed back through here to the front to this blinker, or this marker light apparently. So this kit comes with these extra bolts, this one right here, that you need to put on the front side of this, so it sort of traps this in there, and then that way when it pulls and pushes, it doesn't have quite as far to go. Also, the nice thing about this is that since we have these big springs, we don't need to put those small springs back on there. So I am just going to leave those off because they're not fun to put on and take off and put on and take off again. So I'm just leaving them where they are, off. Alright, gotta hook up the other end of the actuator now. So on this side, what you need to do is screw this down into the other end until this hole is lined up with the rod. And once those are aligned accordingly, then you can stretch that over and slide it on like so. It's nice and unbound. Don't want it binding up or anything. And we'll put this back on, and then we'll put this on here like so, and that side is good to go. Okay, now don't forget that the light can't be moved up or down while this is attached. So if these motors go out somehow and you need headlights, you'll have to disconnect this and manually do it. Which, yeah, that kind of sucks, but actually it may be easier to just push and pull with this by hand than it would be to you know, do it the way you have to do it before. Alright, so I gotta update this side. And I'm almost done setting this up and about ready to test it, but I run into another problem with this kit, and that is that that's not large enough to go over this bolt. It won't fit. This bolt is the ground bolt that they say attach the wire to, and I can't do that. So I am going to have to ream this hole out, I guess. I don't know. It's about all I can think to do. One way I like to do that when I have to is to use pliers, because they have a nice tapered end on them. So you can poke them through the hole, and you can you know, you can spread them out like that, and that's not going to do much. So you just kind of stick that in there and ream it around and keep pushing it until it gets the right size. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I was able to ream that out. I also had to use a small round file to help get in there. So this is just sitting right here for now. I have everything hooked up, everything's double checked, and now what I have to do is turn on the power and pull the headlight switch and see if it works. So here we go. Let's do it to it and see what happens. I have my switch, or my battery on one of these switches, because you know, kind of important. Don't want to drain my battery. Alright, so let's pull the headlights and see what happens. Nice. Sweet. Those suckers popped right up. I didn't turn the actual lights on. I did just now. Cool beans. Woohoo. And turn them off. Wow, that's fucking amazing. So, as you can tell, they're a little bit noisy. Now the kit does come with these two pads. So if you have a really noisy actuation, then you can put that pad here. So I might do that, I don't know. I may just not worry about it. I'm not quite sure yet. So anyway, I think that job is almost done. All I have left is to put the, mount the controller. Okay, and there is the finished part. And I will show you how I intend to use that. If you don't have a 3D printer and you're crafty, I highly recommend one. Okay, so on these switches, so this is what these look like. It broke off right there, as you can see. I think when these are closed, they're actually, well, when the switch is depressed, it's actually open, so it doesn't turn that light on. So what I'm going to do is zip tie this thing I 3D printed right here like this. So I need 2 hands for that, so I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Alright, you guys, so got that all done. as you can see, if you can hear me over the freaking helicopter, this is what that looks like now, all secure. Probably just need to pull the switch out and it'd be fine, but I just want to keep it there to kind of keep that connector clean. So now I'm going to put everything back together like I did on that side. Alright, you guys, and we are inside the car. We're going to see how these lights sound. Of course, the car's running. I'll tell you what, those actuators are forceful. Up they go. Lights on, looking good. These come on with the parking lights. I'm not quite sure I like that. I might change that so that they come on with the headlights instead. I really don't know that I like it that they come up with the parking lights, but I could have thought that out first, I guess, but that's fine. You can feel those things close, but hey, they close and open. That's great. So just sitting here idling. She's warming up a little bit.